Dear devotees, greetings to all of you. Welcome to our divine and spiritual channel, where we share inspiring stories that awaken the soul and guide us toward the path of truth. Today we are going to share a powerful and deeply inspiring story about the great saint Sant Ravidas. This is not just an ordinary story. It is a lesson about life, humility, devotion, and the true meaning of spirituality. So we request you to watch this video till the end, because the message hidden in the final part of the story may change the way you look at life. Now, let us begin this sacred journey. Long ago, near the banks of the holy river Ganga, there stood a small mud hut. Outside that humble hut sat a simple man quietly stitching a pair of worn-out shoes. His clothes were ordinary and his lifestyle was simple, but his eyes carried a deep glow of wisdom and peace. That man was Sant Ravidas. Although he lived like a humble cobbler, people across the city respected him deeply because his words brought peace to troubled hearts. At the same time, inside the royal palace of Kashi, there was great unrest. The queen of the kingdom, Queen Devika, had everything a person could wish for: wealth, luxury, servants, and power. Yet her heart was restless and her mind was heavy. Night after night she could not sleep. Something inside her felt empty. One morning, she suddenly made a decision. She said, "Today I will visit the saint whose words bring peace to everyone. I want to know the truth of life." The royal courtiers tried to stop her. They felt it was not appropriate for a queen to visit a cobbler saint. But the queen's determination was strong. Dressed in simple clothes, she quietly left the palace and walked toward the banks of the Ganga. When she arrived, she saw Sant Ravidas sitting peacefully and stitching shoes just like any ordinary worker. The queen approached him with folded hands and said softly, "Gurudev, I have everything in life, but I do not have peace. Please show me the path of truth." Sant Ravidas smiled gently and replied, "The truth is never far away, queen. One only needs to remove ego from the mirror of the heart." Thus began her journey towards spiritual truth. However, inside the queen's mind, many doubts appeared. She wondered, can a queen like me really learn from someone who lives such a simple life? Sant Ravidas sensed the hesitation in her heart. He calmly said, "Anyone who walks the path of truth must leave behind their identity. Here there is no king, no queen, no rich or poor, only a seeker." The queen's eyes filled with tears. She asked, "Gurudev, am I worthy of knowing the truth?" Sant Ravidas replied with compassion, "Worthiness is not given at birth, it is created through humility. If your heart is ready to learn, then you are ready for the truth." Then he said, "Tomorrow I will show you 3 situations. From them your heart will understand what truth really means." Meanwhile, the king heard that the queen was visiting a cobbler saint. His ego was hurt. How can the queen of my kingdom accept a cobbler as her guru? He thought. The next morning, the king himself went to the riverbank with his guards and ministers. When he saw Sant Ravidas sitting shoes, he felt insulted. "This is the saint everyone talks about," he said angrily. But Sant Ravidas calmly continued his work. The king said, "Why do you ignore me? Do you not see your king standing here?" Sant Ravidas looked up and respectfully replied, "Maharaj, I do not ignore anyone, but the work given to me by God is also sacred. I cannot leave it just to impress someone." The king was surprised. "Do you not feel ashamed doing this work?" he asked. Sant Ravidas smiled and answered, "Work only feels ashamed when the mind is filled with ego. When the heart is filled with service, every action becomes worship." For the first time, the king had no answer. Then Sant Ravidas picked up a shoe and said, "If this shoe gives comfort to your feet, then even a cobbler can serve a king." The king felt something inside him begin to melt. The lesson had begun. Later, Sant Ravidas took the king and queen along a small path where an old woman was selling firewood. He asked the queen to buy wood from her and pay whatever she felt appropriate. The queen immediately took out several gold coins and placed them in the old woman's hands, but the old woman started crying. "Mother," she said, "I do not need so much money. I only wanted enough to buy food for my children today." The queen was shocked. For the first time, she realized that not everyone needs gold. Sometimes people simply need help and understanding. Sant Ravidas said, "True charity is not about giving more. It is about understanding someone's real need." Even the king stood silently reflecting on his own pride. Later, they reached a potter's small workshop. The potter looked worried because one of his clay pots had cracked. Sant Ravidas gently held the pot and said, "The pot is not broken, your faith is broken." The potter replied nervously, "But my hands have become weak." Sant Ravidas took his hands and said, "Your hands are not weak, they are only tired. Tiredness heals with rest, but broken faith can destroy a life." He asked the queen to fill the pot with water. Everyone expected the pot to leak, but it remained strong. The potter was shocked.
Sant Ravidas smiled and said, "You did not fix the pot, your belief fixed it." The king asked, "What miracle did you perform?" Sant Ravidas answered, "There was no miracle. I only awakened his confidence. Where there is faith, miracles happen on their own." Soon after, they saw a little girl crying near the river. Her father was lying on the ground with high fever. The queen said, "Gurudev, you are a saint. Please heal him." But Sant Ravidas replied, "My duty is not to perform miracles. My duty is to serve." Then he said to the queen, "This is your final test. Take this man to the palace and care for him until he recovers." The queen hesitated for a moment. A queen taking care of a poor stranger? But the calm gaze of the saint gave her strength. She took the man and his daughter to the palace and personally cared for him for many days. She fed him, gave him medicine, and comforted the little girl. After a month, the man recovered completely. With tears in his eyes, he said, "Your Majesty, you have done the work of God." The queen smiled and replied, "No, God simply gave me the opportunity to serve." For the first time in years, the queen felt deep peace in her heart. When she returned to Sant Ravidas, she was no longer a proud queen, but a humble seeker. She said, "Gurudev, something inside me has changed. My palace, my jewels, my pride, they all seem meaningless now. I understand that true greatness lies in sharing someone's pain." Even the king had changed. He bowed and said, "You have broken my ego, Sant Ravidas. Those whom we consider ordinary may actually be the greatest among us." Sant Ravidas replied, "I am not great. Truth is great. Whoever touches truth becomes humble." Finally, he said, "The final truth is this. See God in every living being." He pointed toward the river Ganga and said, "Look at this river. It gives water to everyone equally, the king and the poor alike. When your heart becomes like this river, you truly understand truth." The queen folded her hands with tears in her eyes. "Now I understand, Gurudev." Sant Ravidas blessed her and said, "Spread compassion, service, and equality throughout your kingdom." From that day forward, the kingdom changed. Pride was replaced with humility, and injustice was replaced with kindness. And Sant Ravidas returned to the riverbank, quietly stitching another pair of shoes, ready to illuminate another soul. If this divine story touched your heart, comment Jai Sant Ravidas and share this message of humility, compassion, and service with others. Because the heart where love, kindness, and service live, that is where God truly resides.